going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's installment of the MS Beta Alumni Podcast. I have with me here Bill Waller. My name is Austin Wesley, and today we're going to talk about some things MS Beta. Mr. Waller, how are you?
Doing great.
Yes, sir. So if you wouldn't mind starting with what years you were in the chapter, what your major was, your hometown, and essentially what you've been up to from graduation up until now.
Yeah. I joined the chapter in the fall of 1970. At that time, we had a house off campus. It's 317 East Main. It was an old Victorian-style, two-story white clapboard house. And I was intrigued with the members. The incoming student body president was Charlie Yost, and he was also an ROTC, and he served as a mentor for me and was very influential in my getting in the chapter. My big brother was William Charbrough from Highly Bluff, Mississippi, and he was history major, married Dana, the daughter of Professor Handy, who people in my class would recognize that, and he is recently retired at the Citadel, where he was a professor there. So we joined, and it wasn't a very large chapter. I think we had about 50 active members at the time, and we had a large pledge class. We had probably, I think it was around 28. Great folks, and I had a great experience as a pledge. The only difficult part of it was getting the signatures on the paddle, and as it probably exists today, there's always a few of the actives that are make it hard on the pledge, though I think that SigEp has moved forward and they don't have the full pledge process that they used to have, though they do have steps to full membership, which I fully applaud. But it was just a great experience. We would have to every year we'd have to come to campus at least 2 weeks early to try to put the house back together and glue boards back on, and paint, polish the floor. If you took all the paint off, the house would have fallen down. But we enjoyed that experience. We had when I stayed at the house, I stayed in the main bedroom on the main floor with two other guys. We had a 3-level bunk bed, and I stayed on the top, and I was fully 10 feet off the ground. I think the ceilings were about 14 feet high, but it was just a great, fun experience. Mom Humberg was our house mother. It was a fairly small dining room. We had to eat in 2 shifts to get everybody in there. They just served supper then. So it was great. I was corresponding secretary for 3 years. I served in the student senate for 3 years. My last year, I moved back in the dorm, and I was president of Garner Hall, which I think is a business office now for the university. But just a great place, and made lifelong friends. And it's one of the best things I did at Mississippi State. Going forward, I finished in August of '74 as a business major. I changed majors halfway through. I was a political science, and I changed to business, and I had to take some courses to finish on time. And I started law school immediately after that in the fall of '74 at the University of Mississippi. Went through law school, and I started practicing with my father in Jackson at Waller & Waller Attorneys, and I practiced there 20 years. Then I was elected to the Supreme Court in '96 and served there until I retired in 2019. What's, I guess, unique to me about the chapter is the friendships that I made in the chapter were very significant and long lasting. And I want to mention a couple of campaigns. In my Supreme Court campaign in 2012, Jeff Edcock, who was a fellow SigEp, actually managed the campaign. And when I ran for governor in 2019, several of my fraternity brothers stepped up to the plate. Phil Fisher, who now serves as mayor of Clinton, hosted a fundraiser. Dave Pace in Brookhaven hosted a fundraiser, did a lot of campaigning for me. Joy Brielle, who is active with the Alumni chapter on the board now, he helped me on the coast and up at campus. I just go on and on about the people. Harry Mayer wasn't in my class, but he was a SigEp from Meridian that helped me there. Charlie Yost, my mentor when I was an undergraduate, helped me in the Starkville Activity Hall area. Doug Adams from Greenville, and I could go on and on. I mean, the brothers really stepped up to the plate, and if there was any group that contributed to my success, it would be that group. We got close, 26,000 votes in runoff. That means we were just 12,501 from getting the Republican nomination. So 6-month campaign, it turned out very well. So long-lasting friendships. I was privileged to come back and speak to the chapter back in the fall or December, and that was a nice. So anytime that I have an occasion to go back, if I can add to that, I like doing it. So just a great experience.
Yes, sir. Wow, that was a pretty successful time in the chapter, and it sounds like you've been pretty successful since then.
Well, I had a good Mississippi State prepared me very well. I was able to achieve goals from there, both in ROTC, in the National Guard, and the career there, and then in preparing me for law school, and then the career afterwards. It was very good, and got no regrets. Would do the same thing over again.
Yes, sir. That's always good. And you mentioned Joe Brielle. He's actually my executive board position is the vice president of communications, and Joe is my mentor. So I correspond with him a lot. Joe is a really cool guy. I'm glad to hear you say that he was, involved in that. It's pretty cool.
Well, I bumped into him at a baseball game, and he immediately took up with the campaign, and I guess we hadn't seen each other since Mississippi State days. So despite the period of time, he recognized me. I recognized him, which was good. And he got deep into the campaign, and we've had some correspondence and discussions since then. And you're right, he's a top drawer guy, no doubt about it.
Yes, sir. I'm not surprised that you saw him at a baseball game either. And it was funny you mentioned about the off-campus house and the 3-story bunk bed. And, we're moving into the house in the fall. And that's been kind of what we've been up to these past couple of weeks is picking our rooms and stuff like that, and finding out roommates and kind of picking what room we're actually living in the house. So it's been real interesting, kind of working through that floor plan and stuff like that. Two-story bunk beds is as high as I think we're gonna go for now. But we're excited to get all those guys back in the house in the fall.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I really enjoy being off campus, but I think to get the real effect of campus life, I think the house on the campus and being able to have a larger group of people living in the house and having that camaraderie, I think is a positive move. And I'm glad that the chapter's back rechartered and moving back on campus.
Yes, sir. That's it's gonna be quite the change of pace for a lot of us who are older members of the chapter, have lived off campus for, like I've personally lived off campus for 2 years now, and I'm moving back on. It's going to be a big change of pace, especially in these past couple semesters. We've been doing classes a lot online. I felt real disconnected from campus. I'd never go to campus unless I really need something, and being there more often than when I'm not is going to be a big change of pace for a lot of our guys, including myself. And I think it's something that we are all really excited about. And obviously it doesn't hurt to be living in, one of the biggest fraternity houses on campus, with, 50 of your closest friends.
Well, I'm just happy for the chapter and happy it's back. And I tell you, I've been impressed with the young people that I've met, with the alumni leadership. And I think the chapter's off to a great start as it moves back on campus. And I'm looking forward to watching some great things from the SigEps at Mississippi State, Mississippi Beta.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that. So if you would now take the time to remember, what would you say, like your favorite memory from your time in the chapter, or a story about a brother from your time in the chapter?
I just, the most fun we had was getting the house put back together and getting ready for rush. I wouldn't take anything for that. That's where you really bond with people, and that was the time. Of course, the football games were fun. We all sat together, and the parties we had, and the fellowship, going to church on Sunday. We would meet on Sunday mornings. We would go with Mom Humberg to church, and the whole experience was just great. I really couldn't uh, pinpoint anything other than just the general experience. Of course, it's been a long time ago now.
Right. Yes, sir.
I started, I think, to see if my math's right, about 51 years ago. So that was, but it's still close to me, and a heartwarming experience.
Yes, sir. So, if you had to say, I guess, outside of the connections that it brought you, what would you say how SigEp has helped you, like how your time in the chapter helped you professionally, or personally in your time since you graduated?
It just you develop deep friendships with a lot of people. That's the biggest thing. Like if you're not in a Greek, you may have a roommate that's a friend, or you may meet somebody in Korean, but you don't have 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, and that's the biggest difference. And they're always there. It doesn't matter what happens. If you see them, you refresh your relationship, and people check in with you. I need to mention Abbott Myers. I did mention him, but he actually got me in to speak to a large gathering Rotary Club in Tunica, Mississippi, and I think it was one of the largest Rotary groups I met. They rounded up the local people, and the community leaders, and he wasn't actually there, but he made a substantial contribution, and he also organized that meeting. I haven't seen Abbott in years, so it's just this. It may have been a long time ago, but it was just as if it was yesterday from the standpoint of the continuing relationship and friendship that you have.
Yes, sir. Well, those are all the questions I had for you about your time in the chapter. Anything, I guess, you want to say about anything else about your time in the chapter? Any questions you have for me about the chapter up to now?
No, I just think it's important to, if you will, drink deeply in the relationships and the times that you have, and don't waste that experience. So get to know the brothers, find out where they're from, go visit them at their homes. You take them to your home, and because these will be relationships that will stay with you your entire life, and that camaraderie and the fellowship and the friendships are there for life. And so just take advantage of it while you're there, and it's also a good way to learn about, while you're there, other majors, professions, opportunities. That networking that you have is important too. So that would be my desire to communicate to the chapter members today.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Waller, I thank you for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this. This is something that kind of a newer project that I've gotten the chapter involved in, is these alumni talks, and kind of getting more alumni involved with each other as well as the chapter, and getting them to kind of hear from each other. I think it's a really cool experience for guys to hear from these brothers that I hadn't talked to in forever, and I really appreciate you helping me with that.
Well, I'm glad to do it. I need to mention one other. Every time I move, I think of somebody else, but Doug Adams from Greenville was, we had an association. We were in the same unit of National Guard, 2nd 198th Armor, and he is, I've spoken to him. He taught high school and college, and I've spoken to his classes. He's brought classes to the court for oral arguments and that type of thing. That's, and if we sat here, I'd probably just keep thinking of people, but it's just, I tell you, I wouldn't take anything for the friendships and the relationships. So Wesley, buddy, you get a blue star for putting this together. This is great.
Yes, sir.
This is good for the folks, and I hope that they enjoy seeing this and hearing from this as much as I've enjoyed doing it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, if you don't have any any other questions, that's all I got. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Wesley, and we're out here. Thank you.
Yes, sir.